Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes of August 7th.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of August 7th.
Second.
They were very long and detailed, thank you, Joyce.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is communications.
Additions.
Addition to the agenda.
Any additions to the agenda?
Not I.
Okay. Communications, work on the West Cornwall Firehouse is proceeding. We'll probably have some plans to go out to bid to replace the heating system next meeting. So I'll get you those after the fire department approves them for the West Cornwall Firehouse. And the installation work, the preliminary installation work has been completed, and pending inspection that will be ready to go for the installation for the coming season. So things are moving along in the firehouse. Any other communications? Any public comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
In looking at the ProCAD draft from the Economic Development Committee, the number one item and the only item that specifically mentions any part of town was under strategy. They said promote redevelopment of the industrial area on River Road South on Cornwall Bridge, which seems like a reasonably good idea. So I wasn't surprised when I heard that you were down there last weekend. But when asking them what was going on, they said, oh, it's very exciting, but we can't tell you what it is. You have to ask Gordon. So, I mean, I've heard a lot about the fact that there's talk of a winery or something. So I'm here to ask you what it is.
I did not meet with the Laporta brothers down there over the weekend. There are people that have expressed interest in the Neowell property, and I meet with people. Probably I get a request about the properties down there about once a month, but at this point there's nothing solid.
You did not meet with the Laporta
No,
brothers?
so I would check your sources a little bit on that one.
Yeah.
I was down there.
Who did you meet with?
I don't think, I'm not
down
going to,
there.
that's fine, and I can meet with people as I please.
I just asked you who you met with.
And I'm not going to tell you until things are more solid. So, I mean, I can meet with people. If people want to meet with me, it's not necessarily a public meeting, and I can meet with people as I wish if they want to know information about the town.
Okay, I understand that you were not standing in front of the Neowell property, you were standing in front of the Superior Energy property and pointing and gesturing there. So I was...
And none of this is on our agenda, so I'm not really prepared to put items on the agenda that aren't on the agenda.
I'm just asking a simple
Right.
question of a little transparency, Gordon. I mean, it's the number one item. You've been at the Economic Development POCAD meetings, so there's obviously something in mind if it's the number one strategy item on their whole list, the whole report. So I
appreciate your interest, but until there's a real firm idea, I don't feel like making things public as people come to me with some hope of confidentiality until things become real.
Okay.
And anything that happens has to be subject to a rigorous public process and planning and zoning and everything else. And until then, there have been people suggesting uses for the old Neowell property, and there are people suggesting they want to move businesses into town on a regular basis, but I don't normally make a habit of telling everything that happens when I talk to people about moving a business into town until they want to do it. And then I try to facilitate it, and then it goes into a public process with the Planning and Zoning Commission and everything else that happens.
So is the town looking, I understand there's a lot of federal money available because of the present administration allocating funds for brownfield cleanup. Are you pursuing that?
No, not at the present time. We've always been interested in trying to get that building reused back on the tax roll, site cleaned up, and that's been going on for 15, 20 years. And I have contacted the Office of Brownfield Development over the years on things, but there's nothing that's happened because of the current administration.
So that you haven't done anything in the last 3 months on getting that property cleaned up?
No, and I don't think the town is going to be the agent to clean the property up. But if we can get somebody...
The town is not going to be, or what?
May not be the agent, but I said everything's very preliminary, so I'm not going to get in a big discussion about it at this point.
Don't you think it's important if the Economic Development Committee is writing a 10-year plan for the town that they have as much information as possible?
I think the processes are too separate in some ways.
How are they separate?
Because public comment is supposed to be a one-time comment. It's not an interrogation of the Board of Selectmen.
Well, I think that you're endangering, Priscilla's representing, I presume you're discussing this with your whole board. She's representing someone who's buying a house across the street. That's a material impact. If you've discussed with her, or maybe you only discuss it with Richard, I don't know, about development right across the street from property, and not to inform her buyer of that, I think presents certain ethical problems.
Well, as I said, the town has tried to clean up, reuse that property, get the back taxes paid. That's no secret, and it needs a new owner, a new use, which is some of the little commercial space in the town, and everything else, again, has to be subject to a planning and zoning thing. But I think it's no secret that this board is trying to move these kind of things forward. But we have to have a willing partner who has to be a brave person to take on such a project in this day and age.
It certainly would have to be. And I have one other request, and that's that you speak to the state representatives of GOT, because the tree that Cornwall uses as its Christmas tree is now being overgrown with vines, which are going to, make it impossible to light the tree come this fall. So that needs to be cleaned out before we don't have a Christmas tree to celebrate with.
Okay, any other public comments? All right, on
Thursday, and it will eventually mean one new student at CCS, because my buyer is bringing not only her daughter but her granddaughter. So I'm
Great.
excited about that.
That's great. And if they need a high chair, there's one available. That's good. So, first thing on the agenda is social service director vacancy. Last week, I received a letter which we circulated among the board, and I have a copy of from Jane Sellery, who is here tonight with us.
I
Who
think she
said
is here.
That here's a copy of her letter, which states her good news that her husband, who is a priest in Salisbury, is taking a new position in North Carolina. So that necessitates, unfortunately, Jane leaving us and leaving the area. And in her letter, she thanks the people in town for being good to work with, and has found her work rewarding. And we wish her well in her new place. She's here tonight. Do you have anything else to add to the letter, Jane? Or
It's with a heavy heart that I tendered my resignation. I know this is going to be a very good opportunity for our family. It's a wonderful job opportunity for my husband. But it's not without sadness in leaving you all. It's really been such a pleasure to work here in town. To be with people on their best days and their worst days. And really the way in which I've been embraced by everyone in Cornwall has just been so lovely. Thank you all so much.
Well, thank you. This is, your job has not been an easy job, and you have an active client list who I'm sure will miss you. And we'll be working on a transition to make sure those people who are that your office work with have a continuum of good service. So we will be interviewing some people tonight and hopefully making decisions so we can appoint an interim social service director to have time to work with Jane and go over the caseload before she departs.
Which is only a week away.
A week away, so we have to move quickly.
But I did, in your letter, you did indicate your willingness to be in contact
Absolutely.
by phone, which I think will be,
By phone, by Skype perhaps.
or whatever means of modern communication is available.
Absolutely, because
I think that'll be
so
important.
appreciated that when I came on, that Jill was available for me in that capacity as well, because
Yeah.
in this line of work, things come up and you have to sort of think outside of the box, that sometimes there aren't things in a particular manual, and it's very helpful to have an experienced person there to guide you. So I'm very welcome to having inquiries going forward and to be of assistance if that's what.
Great. Well, anyway, thank you very much for your year plus of service, and we'll be chatting under executive session on filling the vacancy at the end of the meeting. So the next thing on the agenda is the town meeting on August 24th, which is concerning the Ben project, which is illustrated in those pictures there. And that's at 7:30 p.m. here at the town hall on this coming Friday. So Mike Jarzymski from the Housatonic Valley Association will be on hand to explain the work, and then I will do my best to answer questions about the town's role after the work's completed. But it's up to the town's people to decide whether they want this project to move forward at this point. But I think the selectmen have done the best they could to try to get something in front of the voters that will meet some long-term public objectives in a practical way. So we look forward to a good turnout Friday night, 7:30 here at Town Hall. Any comments from the board? Or
There's been some nice publicity about it this week from CCN and other emailers. I've gotten probably 5 emails urging me to be there.
Good. I'm sure you will be.
Yes, I will be.
it's nice to see it reaching the stage of a vote,
Yes.
and something presentable to the town that does appear to be the culmination of a lot of work.
Right, and it got approved by Inland Wetlands Commission at their last meeting, so now it just has to be, the work has to be completed, and then the River Commission is, I think, meeting next month to approve it. So Mike will have more details about that on Friday night. Next, mowing tractor. When we traded in our loader for a good trade-in to purchase a new loader, with it went the mower that could be only used on that series machine. So we're down a mowing tractor in a pretty wet and heavy vegetation year. So Jim looked into renting an extra tractor. The rental rates currently are about $12,000 a month. One of the places he asked
A month?
a month. One of the places he asked about renting suggested that he look at the mowing tractor that's being traded in for the town of Burlington. And so Jim went out with James Woodward, our mechanic, and looked at it and took pictures. The town of Burlington wants $10,000 for the complete machine. The mechanic said, if you don't buy it, I will. So it seemed like it's in good condition, and we'd be able to acquire it for less than we got in for the trade of our old loader. So it seems like a very good deal, and it's available this coming month, so we'd be able to use it this fall.
What year? How many hours?
I think it has about 4,000 hours, and I think it's about a 95, something like that. But as you saw from the pictures, it looks like it's in good shape.
Reasonable shape.
Yeah.
And the boom on it is, looked like it was a pretty good sized boom.
Right. It's approximately the same
Is the,
as we have now. It's a bit more modern than what we presently use.
well, the one that there was the one on the loader, and then there's the
Right.
one on the tractor. The one on the
Right.
tractor is relatively smaller, not as long a reach.
Well, I think the head is about the same. I think it's a 4-foot cutting head on it, but
Oh, the head may be, but I'm not
Right.
sure about its reach.
okay.
I mean,
Don't know.
I'm not sure.
So anyway, the road foreman requests that we authorize him to have, to purchase this. We have about $38,000 in the equipment line, and Barbara says that's to buy capital highway equipment, and this seems like a good purchase. I think the sight lines, especially this year, glad to see the state has finally mowed Route 4. Starting mow Route 4, but I think especially on the narrower town roads, the sight lines and having the grass back does make a big difference to people that use those.
We made out pretty well in purchasing the loader with the trade-in. We ended up with excess, or we ended up with available money on a line item. I don't know about excess. I might be the wrong word.
We got more for our trade-in than we anticipated, plus we traded in our grader at the old grader at the same time, so we got an insurance settlement out of the old grader, so overall we're doing pretty well as far as our
And it sounds like the
transaction.
highway guy thinks this is a good buy.
Correct, the mechanic, right. So
And we have the money, so.
we had the money and we have the wheat, so I think we should,
And we have the authority
work.
to make the
Do it.
purchase.
right,
That is correct,
that is
right?
correct.
So I'll make a motion that we authorize Jim to move forward and make the purchase of the Burlington's mowing tractor
I second that.
For $10,000.
for $10,000, yes.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have bridges. Let's see, there's a pre-construction meeting in West Cornwall on the Smith Place bridges with the contractor and the budding property owners on Friday, 10:30. And that's to go over mostly the access and egress and the construction sequence of the alternative road for Smith Place. And at that time we should be able to get a tentative starting date from the contractor. So we're optimistic with that. We've gotten the easement signed from the 3 affected property owners for that road.
So we have all the easements at
The
this point.
easements are signed. There's still some, points they want to make as far as where their septics are and stone walls and trees that may need to be cut. There's some small trees underneath the line near the road that would have to go. Not a major thing, but it's a chance for everybody to review because it is a tight site in there. How it's all going to work out. So that's the town bridges, the state project on Cover Bridge is also on track to start day after Labor Day, and I had Roger Kane, our bridge supervisor, get in touch with Mohawk to make sure they're going to put up signs saying the businesses will be open in West Cornwall when the bridge is closed. They already have some warning signs that the bridge will be closed on that date. It's probably good they're not out here that much, because I've already had people think the bridge is closed before it's actually closed. So sometimes too much publicity may not be a good thing, but we are going to put the alternate signs up. So that's scheduled to go, and so they got some silt fence and things up today. Anything else on bridges? Tax refund. Do we have some tax refunds, Joyce? So, let's see. We have tax refunds for $366.74. One vehicle for $226. One vehicle that was sold for $19. One was removed from the tax roll for $10.73. And then somebody apparently moved to Warren for $100. And the last was a tax of $8.99 for a vehicle that was sold. So we have 5 vehicles, $300, $366.74. I'd make a motion that we grant the request of the tax collector to grant these tax refunds.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. We've had several of these at recent meetings. Is it just that when people sell a car, that's when this happens?
Yes, it's a little quirk that they can get the tax. I believe they can get the tax back for the portion of the tax year if they pay it on July 1st. They can get that portion back that they would owe. But
Makes sense.
But you can't get that back on your house. So, but apparently you can on your car.
Thank
It's
you.
generally a much lesser amount. So we just made the motion. Joyce records that on the record, and that's all that happens for that item. So next, another chance for public comment. Any more public comments? Yes, Ruth.
Did you say interim social service?
Yes, I think what we're looking at, because we do need to post the job when we do it permanently, we will do an interim hire because we need to have a quick transition, and then we will probably hire someone for the rest of the year and then do a posting and a broader search when we have more time around the first of the year. But as this is the middle of heating season, applications, and a bunch of other pending casework, we felt it was important to try to fill this ASAP in view of our tight schedule.
Until about January, hopefully.
Yes, we have to discuss that with our when we finally choose a candidate, but that would be my hope. We can get somebody through the holidays and into January.
Other questions, Smith Place. Who's
Yes.
the contractor? Who won that bid?
Dayton Construction out of Watertown.
Dayton?
Dayton, like Ohio. Dayton Construction. And they're actually doing both bridges. They gave us a discount for
Okay, so Smith
place and the gravel bank bridge are both being done by Dayton Construction. And they're well known in the Connecticut bridge world. And they also did the bridge out here on Route 4 over Bloody Brook here several years ago for the state, and they did it in a fairly quick and professional manner, so we were happy to have them be
Where
a
are
little
they
bit
out of
Watertown, Connecticut.
And what's the cost?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what the cost. It's a big number though.
Okay, and they're starting this fall?
Yeah, they're starting next month,
Couple weeks,
couple weeks. Yeah, so it's approximately 200. I can get you those numbers tomorrow.
250 for.
250 for Smith Place and about 350 for Gravel Bank.
Okay, and I'm sorry, but I haven't, are you changing the configuration?
Well, the things we're changing are that currently Smith Place has a steel deck, which is rotted out after only 25 years. So we're replacing the steel deck on Smith Place with concrete, precast, and we're keeping the underpinnings that are currently there on Smith Place, but the one Millbrook over, or the Millbrook under the gravel bank bridge, the abutments on that are also in bad shape. So we're replacing the whole superstructure at the gravel bank with a precast concrete or a poured concrete. So it's all going to be concrete.
One of them's cast in place, I thought.
Yeah, I think that's cast in place with maybe a precast deck. Right now, that has also a old delaminating steel deck and a cinder block abutments, which are fairly rare in the bridge world. So anyway, that's going to be all redone, and it's going to have a wider opening than the current one.
And it's projected to take how long?
Both of those are, I believe the Smith Place is, they have 30 days to complete it.
No?
So they're fairly quick.
The gravel bank will probably
When
be,
you say precast, is it pre-stressed and precast?
Yeah, so it's done off-site. Yeah, so they're just big pieces of concrete that
Bring
come,
it.
bring it and put it in place with a crane. So
Great.
should last a long time, hopefully.
And I need to
Thank
know,
you.
I need to know the road foreman Jim's last name.
Vanicky, V-A-N-I-C-K-Y.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you got a copy of Jane's letter.
Yes.
Good. Okay, any other public comments? Then I'd make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the vacancy and interviews of for the position.
I'll second that.
Any discussion, any more? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's it, right?
That's it.